Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I just picked a bunch of jalapenos from the garden, and we are going to go in and make some pickled jalapenos, can those up, and get those on the pantry shelf. It is probably our most prized possession in our pantry, and I wanted to share with you guys how I do that. So let's take these in and get them ready, and we will can these up. Alright, I like to get all of my stuff ready and organized before I start canning. So I've got my jars all washed and in the canner, and I've got my lids and rings right next to it, and those are all clean and ready to go. I got my jar lifter, my canner lid, I've got my jalapenos right here, and I have rinsed these in cold water and I'm ready to slice these up. So I've got my cutting board and knife, and I'm going to be cutting them and putting them into this stainless steel bowl, and then we will go ahead and filling our jars right here and loading them into the canner. So we have to get this canner warming up. I like to get it nice and hot while I do my other stuff. So usually one of the first things I do is get my jars clean and into the canner, and I'm going to fill this up with hot water and get this turned on because this is my electric canner. So I'm going to just get this warming on a medium heat so that everything's nice and warm, and then we will start cutting up our jalapenos. Alright, so we have our jars warming in the canner, and we're going to go ahead and prep our jalapenos next. So we just picked these today, so they're nice and fresh, and I leave all the seeds and everything on in mine. So I basically just cut the end off, and then I go ahead and slice into approximately 1/4 inch thick maybe slices. If you want, go ahead and wear gloves if you think you're gonna get spices in your eyes or anything, because it will get on your hands and washing it will probably not take it off right away. So if you're worried, go ahead and wear gloves. But we're just gonna slice these right about 1/4 inch thick. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna keep them just like that, seeds and all. The little end pieces I keep in there, everything. So the only thing that I'm discarding are those little tops with the stem, and that's it. Everything else is going to be pickled today in our jars. So I go ahead and prep my jalapenos before I do the brine, because the brine is not like our pickle brine, where, you know, when we did our pickles, we had to let the pickling spice really get into our vinegar and water mixture. So we had to boil that for about 15 minutes. Whereas this brine, we are not using any spices, except for we are putting some salt in there, but so we don't have to boil it for a specific amount of time. We're just going to bring it up to a boil. So I'm going to go ahead and slice up the jalapenos before we do the brine this time. Alright, so we got our jalapenos all chopped, and we got like a whole bowl full. So let's go over to the stove and make our brine. Alright, so for our brine, we're going to use white vinegar, water, and salt, and that's all you're going to need. So we have at least 3 pounds of jalapenos, so we are going to make a good amount of brine. So we're going to start with 7 cups of vinegar and get that into our pot. Alright, so there's 7 cups of vinegar, and I'm going to get 2 cups of water. Alright, and then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of salt. I am just using the same salt I always do, which is real salt. Alright, and we're gonna bring this up to a boil, so I'm gonna put my burner on high and give it a stir until that salt is all dissolved, and then we'll be ready to go and can this up. Alright, our brine is all hot and boiling, so we're going to bring it over to our filling station and start filling up our jars. Set my lid aside. I've got my hot jars in here ready to go. We're going to go ahead and fill 2 jars at a time. Alright, so I'm putting in some pickle crisp for calcium chloride, about 1/8 of a teaspoon for a pint, or 1/4 teaspoon for quarts. And then I'm just going to start filling my jars with our chopped jalapenos. And we're going to leave a 1/2 inch headspace, so fill about to 1/2 inch from the top. Plenty of space. Ooh. Alright, and then we're going to ladle our brine in. Again, we're leaving 1/2 inch headspace there. So we're going to stick our bubble popper in there. Make sure we don't have any air bubbles. And then I like to usually keep my spoon nearby so that I can kind of shove the peppers back down in there. And then we're going to use our measuring tool and just make sure that we have the proper headspace. Alright, wipe our rims with a clean rag. Lids and rings. Fingertip tight, and put these back in. I have been using all of the antique and vintage jars. If you saw my video about us finding a couple hundred old canning jars buried, it's a pretty cool video. You can check it out if you haven't. But these are some of those jars, and I've been using these jars for canning this season, so it's pretty cool to be using old jars like that. Hopefully whoever they belonged to before is happy that they're, or would be happy that they're still being used by someone who loves canning and preserving food for their family. It's pretty cool. Alright. And we're just going to continue to do this until all of our jars are full. My canner can fit 8 pints at a time, so we're just going to fill up our 8 jars. I might have to make some more brine because I have quite a few peppers. I think I have probably a lot more than the 3 pounds that my recipe is for, so. But it's okay, it's easy and quick to whip up more brine if you need to. Unlike, you know, if you're short some of the pickle brine, it takes a while to make that, so it's not that big of a deal. If you need to whip up some more of this brine, you just bring it up to a boil real quick and away you go. I do get jalapeno seeds all over the place when I'm doing this. My fingers have jalapenos all over them. Alright, we'll be right back in a minute. Alright, we got all of our jars filled up and loaded into the canner, and we have checked to make sure we have at least 1 inch of water over the top of our jars. And now we are ready to get these up to a boil and process them. We're going to process our pints for 10 minutes. If you're doing quarts, you're going to want to do those for 15 minutes. Alright, our timer went off. These have been processing for 10 minutes, so we are going to go ahead and shut the canner off and remove our lid. And we're going to let them sit in the jar here for about 5 minutes before we remove them. So we're just going to let this cool off a little bit, and then we'll be right back and we'll pull these jars out of the canner. Alright, it's been 5 minutes, so we're ready to remove our jars. Alright, they've all gravitated to the middle. Now I feel like I could have fit a couple more jars in there. Alright, so we're going to take these out and set them onto a towel on the counter. Alright, you guys, so that is how I can my pickled jalapenos. We love them so much. It is a staple in so many of our meals, and it's so easy to do. So I hope that you guys give it a try. I hope that you found this video helpful, and if you like videos like this, make sure you subscribe for more upcoming videos, and I'll see you guys next time.